Hey, it's Rich from Planet PE, and today's video is actually not about GCSE PE at all. It's generally about your GCSEs and A-levels, and today's video is all about how and why you revise. Mainly looking at how you should revise. So just like most of the things that you do in school, you kind of end up finding out the best way to do things along the way. When I was at school, I don't think anybody actually showed me or told me how to revise. So what I want to take you through today is a few different ideas that you might use in your revision to try and get you a better grade. So let's get cracking and let's see which is the way that you're going to revise in these final 12 weeks, because that is all you've got left before the exam period begins. So let's get cracking. So why revise at all? Well, the first reason is that you forget stuff. So if you have a look at this little graph here, over time, we forget stuff. And that's kind of the reason that we need to revise, because your brain is a bit like a sieve, and it's also kind of prioritizing things that are important. So if you aren't using information, your brain will over time kind of prioritize the stuff that it needs, stuff that it doesn't need. So we've got to keep revisiting information. Now, I know the words to songs that I hate, particularly that Justin Bieber song that's out at the moment, Yummy. I can't stand it. But I know some of the words because it's on the radio and I hear it over and over again, and some of it sticks. So the first thing you've got to think about is all these different things on this graph. So if you keep revisiting information, some of it will stick. The more and more you revisit it, the more that we will lose along the way. Now, revision is really to try and remember things that you already knew. Some of you might relearn it or even learn it for the first time through revision. So let's look at the different techniques that you can actually use to try and maybe learn information, but also retain the information. At my school, we have done a few little tests and a few experiments with our year 11s looking at different ways to revise. So the first one is all about using revision cards. So I'm sure lots and lots of you do it. But what people tend to do badly is that they don't then test themselves on the information. So my first tip is make sure that you are testing yourself with information. So you might be making a revision card using a flashcard, and on there you've got keywords, you've got your titles. What about on the back of actually looking at past exam questions and then actually testing yourself? Because with all revision, if you're not testing yourself, you're not revising. All you're really doing is reading information. So the first one that I would like you to try is on your revision cards, just try and make sure that on the back of it, you have some questions so you can flip it over. But also it enables mum and dad or whoever's looking after you at home to try and help you within your revision, because they've got questions they can ask you. If you can't give them the answer verbally, you probably can't write it down either. Now, when you go to the gym, you might deal in reps and sets. GCSE PE people, I'm sure you know about that better than everybody. Now, what we want to look at is a new method called Pomodoro. Now, Pomodoro has been proven to work, because what we're trying to do is actually work in chunks and then give ourselves a rest. So with Pomodoro, we're going to work for 25 minutes. We're going to give ourselves 5 minutes rest. Now that rest is you going completely away from the topic and doing something else. And it doesn't actually matter what you do. And that's the best thing about it. You can go away, you can go on your phone, you can go down the shops, do anything. The whole point is you have 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off. Now what you're trying to do is one block of 25 where there's no distractions, there's nothing else going on apart from you and your revision. You then go back to it for another 25 minutes and have another 5 minutes off. And what the suggestion is that you're going to try and do 3 or 4 blocks of Pomodoro to make sure that you are then you've got that technique down, and it's something that you can embed into your revision. So basically what I'm saying is, second tip, don't just sit there for 3 hours thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to revise, and nothing going in and trying to, flog a dead horse. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and make sure in that rest break, you really do something else. You don't just keep revisiting it, go back, go and do something else. And also use a timer. Time that 25 minutes, time that 5 minutes, so that you can keep to whatever you're planning to do. The next technique or method I would like you to try is some sort of association or some sort of way of creating links between the topics. So you might use mind maps, for instance. So mind maps are that you will start with a topic in the middle, and then from there we're going to bridge off. But what we want to try and do is create some sort of plan, some sort of way that the information can connect to each other. So if you ever see on Britain's Got Talent and things like that, there will be somebody who can, remember a whole pack of cards. Every single one of them that knows what it is and, seems like they've got a great memory. They don't. What they've actually got is a really good technique or a method to remember stuff. So what they'll do is actually create a story. So they might have the 3 of hearts and they'll create a story in their head that is going to involve maybe the heart and the number 3, and they're going to link it to the next card. So with us using mind maps, and particularly using colour, because your brain loves colour, try and think about on a mind map starting in the middle and then from there branching off into different areas. One, visually you might learn really well doing that because you might see in your head where things are going to be joining up. But also, if you can create a mind map, it's also a good way of testing yourself. So you might go, okay, I'm going to give myself 25 minutes and I'm going to create a mind map on drugs in sport for those GCSE PE students, or it might be on one of the characters from Inspector Calls. So if you're able to do that, it's giving you an idea of what you already know. As you then go back to your notes, you could then potentially add more and more stuff in there. So it's another good way of testing yourself. As I said in tip 1, you've got to do that. But it's also a great way of kind of seeing what I know and what I don't know. Because again, if you can write things down, if you can talk about it, it shows how much you actually know. And that's what we're actually testing. And my final tip is to try and use an app called Adapt. So if we have a look at Adapt on the App Store or Android Store, whatever you get your apps from, you will find it there. There is a website called Get Adapt. Now, I'm not associated with it at all, however, I really like the look of it. So I'm a year 11 tutor, and I got my students trying to do it on paper, and all they did is kind of went, oh, I'm not sure on what topics they need to do. I'm not sure when I'm going to prioritize. What Adapt does for you is that you can put in your exams. It knows when those dates are, and if you miss a day on your revision, it will move it so that you still have to do that topic. Now, for most of you, the hardest thing you're going to do is actually create a revision plan. So you use Adapt, and on there you can then put in your exams, put the the exam boards that you're going to be using, and then from there it will create a revision plan for you. Wouldn't that be amazing if it existed? It does. It's on the App Store, and even better, it's free. So there is a quick fire journey on how to revise. Now, if you want me to kind of do some more stuff on this and almost work through something with you, put it down in the comments and we'll look at doing that and see if I can get some other subjects involved. So again, if you are new to the channel, I'm Rich from Planet PE, and check us out on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, and obviously on here. So good luck, you've only got 12 weeks left.